Boom. There we go. All right. All right. All right. Ready on folks to jump in. Okay. Well, everybody welcome in. It's a pleasure to have you for another season of Nashville Predators hockey. We're going to hopefully do these videos every single game. That is the ultimate goal here. And what we'd like to get accomplished is to be able to answer any kind of questions you have prior to the pregame starting. And of course, the great crew of the Fox Sports Tennessee crew, Willie Donna, Chris Mason, Kara Hammer, Lindsay Rowley, all four of them will be answering your questions as the game progresses. But I'm doing this just to continue that trend, and hopefully we'll get some more questions answered throughout the year. That being said, we'll go ahead and start. First and foremost, let's just take a breather and talk about the goaltending situation for the Predators. Nashville has a very interesting goaltending scenario to where they have Pekka Rinne and UC Saros both as a 1A, 1B situation in net. And I think that's probably one of the better situations across the league. You're not going to find many teams that have a goaltending situation like Nashville does. Of course, with both Pekka Rinne and UC Saros, the question you have to ask yourself is, what's the proper split in terms of games? Ideally, there's going to be a lot of folks that think UC Saros needs to start getting more starts than Pekka Rinne. But in the same regard, I really think you're going to have to kind of make it a little bit, you really have to ease UC Saros into it. And to be fair, he's been eased into it over the past couple of seasons. But that being said, I still think it's a 50-30 split in terms of UC Saros getting the 30, Pekka Rinne getting the 50, and then hopefully going from there. One question you can ask yourself is, what happens to Pekka Rinne after this season? It's a fantastic question to think about. And it's one that I think that management has already, I know management has already brought up the subject. Of course, David Poyle earlier on 104.5 The Zone's Midday 180 spoke to their crew that he had preliminary discussions with Pekka Rinne and his agent. Of course, Pekka wants to retire in Nashville. That is something I think a lot of Nashville fans would love to see, is Pekka Rinne retire with the Predators. And, I think if that happens, of course, I think he's the first jersey to go up in the rafters as a retired number. You'd have to think he would be. That being said, in the case of Pekka Rinne, what's the appropriate response in terms of his contract situation? How do you measure that? I think right now the best idea for the Predators is not really to stress about it right now, but let the whole season unfold, and that way you can really kind of get a good picture as to how much you need to pay Rinne and how much of a term it's going to be. Optimally, you want to get Pekka Rinne in for at least 2 to 3 more seasons, because realistically, if you look at it, how many more years does Pekka Rinne have under his belt? I think that's the big question. You have to think that Rinne may have 2 or 3 years left. Hopefully that's the case. One thing to think about is, if Rinne wins 35 to 40 games again this season, he's not going to be making $2 to $3 million. That's a huge question. He won't be making $2 to $3 million. I know a lot of people think, well, you can really just offer him $2 million. You can offer him $3 million, and that's it. No, I absolutely, vehemently don't think that you can do that, because this guy is the reigning Vezina Trophy winner. And if he comes back and he wins 35 to 40 games again this season, he's going to be making at least $5 million a year. So that's when, if you're David Poile, you have to really wonder, can I spend $5 million for Pekka Rinne and still be able to afford everybody else on the roster? That's the big question I think is going to come up later in the season. Got some questions popping in the chat. Fantastic. Great. Let's go ahead and get to them. Boyd Ferris says, how big of a collective sigh of relief are we all breathing for Hartman being ready to go, meaning no Ronaldo? Okay, so I'll be honest. I'm really intrigued to see how Ronaldo is going to do in this lineup. A lot of people don't want to see Zach Ronaldo play hockey for the Predators. I, however, am not one of them. I am somebody who wants to see what Zach Ronaldo can do suiting up for the Predators lineup. I want to see what he's capable of. I know that there are a lot of questions about his suspension history and how he's performed in the past and being suspension prone. But in the same regard, everything I saw in the preseason seemed like a much different Zach Ronaldo. And I think you really have to take that into consideration. He's a Peter Laviolette guy. He was drafted by the Peter Laviolette Flyers when Laviolette was there. Laviolette knows what he's capable of and how he can play. And this wouldn't be a situation to where Laviolette says, yeah, we got a guy who's going to be suspension prone. Let's just throw him on in and hope he doesn't lay a hit like Tom Wilson did to the Oscar Sundqvist the other day. I don't think that's a situation. I think Ronaldo's gotten to a point where maybe he understands, I can play better hockey without making these kind of hits. Can't say for certain until we see him in the lineup, but I think we'll see him in the lineup sooner rather than later. As for Hartman, if the guy is still injured, I don't think he needs to be in the lineup. That's my biggest concern was that if he's in the lineup, I don't think he. You know, let's fix this real quick. We're getting some Zoom issues here. There we go. And so, oh, it's awful bright. Okay. So, if Ryan Hartman is injured, let him heal up. That's my big thing. Let Ryan Hartman heal up and then put him in the lineup. Zach Ronaldo, I don't think is going to hurt you either way. Gabby the Pitbull asks, do you expect Johansson to bounce back this season from a goal-scoring perspective? Okay, that is actually a great question. One thing that I have been asked continuously over the past week is, will Ryan Johansson shoot more this season? I think you really have to, I'm going to sit back a little bit from this. Okay, there we go. I'm going to sit back a little from this camera. Ryan Johansson has an issue with shooting the puck. At least he has in the past couple seasons. But that's how he is as a playmaker. Being a playmaker, he has the ability to really dish the puck off to his line mates and be a number one center. You know, I mean, that's what his number one center is supposed to do, is pass the puck off to his teammates. At the same time, Ryan Johansson has a deadly shot. He just doesn't utilize it, at least he hasn't in the past. During the preseason this year, though, Ryan Johansson shot the puck a lot more, scored a few goals, looked dynamic. So the big question is, does that continue during the regular season? I think with what we've seen so far from Ryan Johansson, don't be shocked if he shoots the puck a lot more this season. I don't expect him to have a huge shooting percentage like a Forsberg's 10 to 11% that he averages, but I expect him to shoot the puck a lot more, and I expect him to score quite a few more goals than he has the past couple of years. So yes, I expect him to bounce back this season from a goal scoring perspective. Fred Hunter Gaming asks, glad hockey is back. I'm excited to see how the fourth line with Freddie G, Salty, and Hartman look. If they can play solid minutes, I think that unit could be a big boost. I absolutely agree. My biggest concern on that line, to be fair, is Mika Salamaki. Mika Salamaki, in my opinion, didn't have a great preseason. He didn't look like he really fit in with the Predators lineup. And he was prone to turnovers. it just, something wasn't clicking with Mika Salamaki during the preseason. And yes, I know preseason's a different beast than the regular season. And hopefully that'll change as the first few games of the Predators kind of go underway. But I kind of expect Mika Salamaki to have a little bit of a short leash. If he's prone to turnovers and he causes that fourth line to have any kind of detrimental issues, maybe you sub in Zach Ronaldo, see how he flies on that line. But I like the addition of Freddie Gaudreau. I like the ability to give him a chance to prove himself this season. But my biggest concern with Freddie Gaudreau proving himself, what's he going to do on the fourth line? I mean, what is he going to do? When he was pumped up into top 6 minutes during the Stanley Cup final run, he looked great. But the problem is how do you put him into the top 6 when you already have a full top 6? That's the big question. You have to balance out those minutes, but at the same time, you don't want to take someone who's in the top 6 and push them into the bottom 6 and kind of ruin their game. So it's so difficult with Freddie Gaudreau. The guy deserves a chance to really prove himself, but how do you do it with this Predators lineup? I mean, how do you realistically put him in there and say move Craig Smith to the third line or fourth line, put Fiala on the third line or fourth line? You can't do it. I mean, Craig Smith is a perennial 25-25 scorer, but if you move him to the third or fourth line, he's going to have problems contributing. Same with Freddie Gaudreau. Bottom 6 minutes in defensive zone situations are not going to help him. Darian Grimes says, do you think the Preds will try to acquire another middle top 6 forward if Tolvanen doesn't play this season? Luckily, I think Tolvanen does play at some point this season, but I have lower expectations for Tolvanen than I think many people do. There were some people that thought Tolvanen could be a Calder Trophy nominee. If you've listened to my show at all on 104.5 The Zone on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock, it's the Neutral Zone, by the way, Neutral Zone, 104.5, 9 p.m. Wednesday nights. If you've listened to my show at all, since March, I have downplayed Eeli Tolvanen as much as humanly possible. Just because this kid, I got this hair in my eye. Okay. This kid needs time to develop. He absolutely needs time to develop. And I don't think you're going to get that level of time right now. Moving him down to Milwaukee was the best thing the Predators could have done. He still needs to really acclimate to North American ice. He hasn't done that yet. It took him 2 or 3 months just to hit the net during practice. I mean, it's tough. There's not as much space on North American ice as there is in the European leagues. It's just not there. And that is a huge thing to adjust to. And a lot of people don't really realize that lowering the amount of ice time or lowering the amount of ice space that you have changes the whole dynamic of how much time you have with the puck, how quickly you have to get it off, how cognizant you have to be of your other teammates on the ice. All three of those are absolutely massive factors that Tolvanen still has to adjust to. And the big thing about Tolvanen is he's 19 years old. He's 19. Just remember that. Give the kid time to grow. And if he doesn't play as much as the Predators would like to see him this season, do I think the Preds go out and try to get a middle or top 6 forward to kind of balance that out? I don't know. We'll come back to that question in December, and I think that'll be a better time to judge, because once you have 2 seasons or so of the Preds under wraps, then we can kind of look at it and say, hey, do they need some kind of top 6 forward during the rest of the season or not? So I'm not sure about it yet. I don't think they need one right now, but that could change here in a couple months. April asks, Rene has at least 2 years, but how long can we hold on to Saros? Well, let's just take a quick look right here. So right now, UC Saros is locked in through the 2020-2021 season, and he still will be a restricted free agent after that. So the Predators will have his rights through 2021-2022. And I believe if we look up at how old UC Saros is, this guy is 23 years old. So after the 2021-2022 season, or excuse me, after the 2020-2021 season, he will be 25. So what I would realistically expect, because he's making $1.5 million right now, what I would realistically expect is two possible scenarios. One, a 2-year bridge deal to get him to unrestricted free agency. It's a very likely scenario just because a lot of players like to do that. But if Rinne is still around, which I absolutely think he will be, then you look to maybe get him locked in long term. And if Pekka goes gets another 2 years after this season, okay, let's think about that for a second. If after this season Pekka gets a 2-year contract to get him to the end of UC's contract with the Predators 2020-2021, then when that season ends, you're going to have both Rinne and Saros up for free agency. So you lock up a restricted free agent in UC Saros, and then you lock up Pekka Rinne. It's going to be a very difficult situation to play out. But in the same regards, I think they can hold on to Saros for as long as they want. I think it's just a matter of trying to keep Rinne here at the same time. But if they can't keep Rinne here, Saros is the goaltender of the future, and they'll pay him as such. So expect him to be around for a while. At least I would. Pred Hunter Gaming says, I'd like to see Ronaldo and Hartman wing Freddie Gaudreau. But I'm glad Freddie is finally getting a shot. I am too. I would love to see Ronaldo and Hartman both on that line. That'd be super entertaining. At least in my opinion, it would be. So hopefully we get to see that happen sooner rather than later. April asks, what's the prediction for tonight's score? I like predictions. I love Hercules. I love predictions. Oh, yes, I love predictions. So let's go with, I think the Predators win a close game 3-2 against the Rangers. 3-2 against the Rangers. I think that's going to be the score. The Predators win 3-2 to open the season. I'll probably be absolutely wrong. They may lose this one. But we'll find out. We'll find out. So if anybody's got any more questions, go ahead and hop them in now. If not, we're going to close up shop on this edition of Preds QA. Pregame Preds QA. We'll figure out a good name for it. I don't know. If you guys got any suggestions for a name for this show, then just let me know. But other than that, if not, then we may questions coming in. Ronaldo and Watson on the line would be very entertaining. Okay. In 27 games, when Austin Watson comes back, you have to really factor in what Ronaldo will have done in that amount of time. But I don't see both Ronaldo and Watson playing together. I think you're going to have either Ronaldo or you're going to have Watson. I don't think you're going to have both unless Ronaldo scores like 10 goals between now and December. I just don't think it's going to happen. That being the case, Ronaldo fills in fine for Watson while he's out. More critical to season success, Turris line defensively or Bonino line offensively? Bonino line offensively, and I'll tell you why. The Turris line is not going to really, they'll factor into defense, but Kyle Turris' line gets so many more offensive zone starts than defensive zone starts. You're not going to really see them start in defensive-minded situations. They'll find themselves in defensive situations and the puck gets out of the zone. But I'm more concerned with them maintaining that level of offense as they start with the puck in the offensive zone. As for Nick Bonino, I believe his line needs to generate more offense because you're going to have Nick Bonino, Calle Yarncrook, and Colton Sissons, I guess, right now as that line. It's the helicopter line. They're all centers, no wings. So that's a huge one. I think Nick Bonino needs to be more productive. And I think as he's healthy now, fully healthy, this is the first season for the Preds, he is fully healthy. I think that we should see a different Nick Bonino this year and how he actually produces and performs for the Predators. And offensively, I'd watch out for that third line. I think you're going to see more offense come from that line than you'd expect. Gavin the Pitbull, who do you see as a dark horse to have a big year for the Predators this season? Okay, so Kevin Fiala is not really a dark horse. I have professed my love for Kevin Fiala's ability to have a breakout season this year on more times than I care to go back and check. But I think if I were to pick someone to have a big year for the Preds, I think it's going to be Ryan Hartman. That's who I think. I think the more playing time that Ryan Hartman gets, the better he's going to be. And I think the system that Peter Laviolette implements with the Predators absolutely suits Ryan Hartman for his physical skill set and his quick aggressiveness to the puck. So my pick for a big year this season, dark horse candidate, is going to be Ryan Hartman, depending on his health. Other than that, I think we're going to close up shop on this wonderful 20-minute edition of Preds QA pregame. Make sure you tune in. Fox Sports Tennessee, you can get it on, well, tune in to the Twitter feed if you're not watching, at Preds on FSTN. This guy right here is the gift master. He's going to be in charge all season long. It's going to be great. Martel does a fantastic job. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Maybe we know it. I don't know. It could be good. It could be bad. But just come along for the ride. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great year. We're going to have lots of fun. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe, like, comment, whatever you want to do. I don't know how this works. Yes, I think he comes up big. But yes, other than that, though, have a wonderful night. Enjoy the game. And we will talk again Saturday night as the Predators travel to Long Island to take on the New York Islanders. Enjoy the game tonight as the Predators face the Rangers.